And I'm Peter Stewart. Thank you so much for listening. And a quick reminder that unlike some other sites that run interviews for celiacs or about living gluten-free, all the audio here is free and always will be. You can listen to all the interviews as often as you want just by digging down into our archive section. They're all available, always.
This is G-Free Radio.
Now, there are so many different breads on the market, aren't there? The ones in the stores, ones online, in the UK, ones only on prescription. There are also a few bread mixes, and this week I've been trying out one of them.
So you join me in the G-Free Radio kitchen and, let's pull the blind down, that's a little bit better, isn't it? And I'm about to try out this sunflower and pumpkin seed bread mix. This is from Sukrin. I was given this at the Allergy and Free From show in London back in June. I haven't actually tried it yet, so I thought now was a really good opportunity to do that. And it says, first of all, preheat the oven to gas mark 4 or 180C. Also in the instructions, put the bread mix into a bowl and add 300 millilitres of water. And this is a particularly interesting bread mix because there's very little work you actually have to do in it. It says on the back of the packet that there's no kneading, no proofing required. It includes own baking tray. And you may have heard there the baking tray that comes out. The packet here, the packet mix, quite fine to put into the bowl. Certainly an awful lot of seeds, and when I tasted this bread at the show, I was particularly impressed with the amount of seeds that were in it. It actually had quite a lot of substance. I had 300 millilitres of water. Mix well and leave to rest for 3 minutes. So in the box comes a little silver foil tray. Well, what, about 6 inches by about 3 inches, so there's not a huge amount to it. So obviously the loaf is going to be quite small. It says on the back, bread mix, sunflower and pumpkin seeds at last a delicious gluten-free bread mix with only 1 carb per slice and no compromise on taste and texture. Just add water, no kneading required. Ingredients, seeds and kernels, including psyllium, sunflower, sesame, pumpkin and flax, fibre from sugar beets, chicory and peas, fibre-fin-resistant cornstarch. I've not heard of fibre-fin, but that's a capital F and capital F in that, which is interesting. Whole eggs powder, pea protein sweetener, Sukrin, mineral salt, raising agent, contains egg, sesame seeds and peas. So let's just give this a final quick proper mix. So mix well, leave to rest for 3 minutes. So start the clock and be back with you in a second. Average nutrition of baked bread per 100 grams is energy 145 kcals, protein 8.7 grams, carbs 2.5, sugar 0, fat 8.4, of which saturated fat 1.4, dietary fibre 21.2, sodium 0.4. And we're going to be hearing in a few minutes' time from somebody else who has cooked this. Friend of the show, Maria Brannigan. We've spoken to her before, in fact, at the Allergy show in London back in June. Now, I say back in June. This was given to me. We did an interview with them that you're going to be hearing in a few moments' time as well. And this box of the bread is valid best before 2014, March 2014. I've not seen this anywhere else. Oh, it's actually produced in Norway. Got a little Norwegian flag on the top of the front of the box. When 3 minutes is up, pour into the enclosed foil tray, or for a firmer crust, place the mix directly onto a sheet of baking parchment. Bake for approximately, how long do you reckon? Because I've said that this baking tray is 6 inches by 3 inches by 1.5 inches high. It's not that big. You have got to bake for 1 hour 20 minutes on the bottom shelf of the oven. Now, I kind of haven't boxed particularly clever on this because I'm not cooking anything else at the same time. So even though the bread is free, it's going to cost me a fortune in the electricity for 1 hour and 20 minutes. That's quite a while, isn't it? When cool enough to handle, place the loaf on a rack, uncovered, to cool completely. The bread is best kept in a bag in the fridge. It can be enjoyed fresh or toasted. It can also be sliced and frozen, which I would have thought was pretty obvious, really. But OK, so the 3 minutes is up, and now we've got to spoon the mix into the foil tray. It's actually quite dry, actually. Certainly smells good. You can smell what I should imagine to be the sunflower seeds. You've got to be quite careful when you're putting it in, as I say, because it is quite dry, that I would imagine, well, it doesn't say it, you've almost got to push it down, because otherwise it's going to create its own corners and air pockets, isn't it, on the, where it just kind of sits in the bottom of the tray, but doesn't actually necessarily push down itself. Right, I think that's all of it. It's quite thick, it's quite heavy, actually, at this stage, so much so that it is sticking to the spoon. But let's get all of that off, even it out over the top. So now over to the oven. And onto the bottom shelf. Close that up. And now wait for 1 hour 20 minutes.
This is G-Free Radio.
So it's been an hour and a half, and certainly I can smell the smell of freshly baked bread. 1 hour 20 minutes, in fact, is what they said. Let's open up, and there it is. It's looking good. It's suddenly risen about half an inch over the top of the tinfoil tray. What I need to do, when cool enough to handle, place the loaf on a rack, uncovered, to cool completely. It is looking good. So we're going to leave that to cool, and then we'll slice it up. Let's get out the knife and the smell is pretty good, and I must say it is packed full of those various seeds, more so than I think any other bread that I have come across. No matter what it looks like, it's down to the taste test in the end. Bit of butter, very naughty. So we're going to be speaking with Maria Brannigan in a few moments' time, who wrote a post about this Sukrin bread not so long ago. That is good. Impressed with that. Very easy. Very little work to do. Plenty of seeds. Got a nice crunch to it. A lovely crust on the top as well. I think that's a bit of a winner.
I was incredibly impressed by it. Just loved everything about it, really. The texture, the taste. Just thought it was the best gluten-free bread that I think I tasted. It tasted like sort of proper homemade style bread rather than, you know, the sort of sliced shop-bought variety.
And what is nice is the seeds in it.
Pumpkin and sunflower seeds in there, which I particularly like, and I think they do give it a nice texture.
It's got a bit of a crunch, hasn't it? And something to actually chew on. And perhaps some people don't like a kind of chewy, crunchy bread, but certainly it appealed to me rather than the cloying mixture that you can sometimes get.
Quite agree. There can be some unpleasant experiences.
What are the downsides to this loaf?
Number one, the cost, because it is very expensive. It's £4.95 for the one pack, which makes a 500 gram loaf, and you have to keep the oven on for 80 minutes, which obviously adds to the cost of it. You know, if you can maybe do it so that you've got something else in the oven at the same time, then great. But it's quite a long time, really, 80 minutes in the oven.
I understand that you can actually buy larger bags. Is that right? So
that's right. Yes. When I spoke to the people at Sukrin, they did say that if you order via themselves, you can reduce the price a bit by sort of getting kilo bags, and that sort of brings it down a little bit. But I mean, I suppose it's very convenient because it comes with a little tin tray that you bake it in, and you literally just add water, mix it and put it in the oven. I mean, it couldn't be simpler, really.
And I'm thinking that if, for example, you were going away for a holiday, maybe, I don't know, abroad, you were driving to the south of France or whatever, it's going to take you a couple of days, you were doing self-catering, you didn't know where you were going to get some bread from when you arrive. Actually, to take something like this, which of course is not going to go off in transit, you're going to have an oven the other end, you could wake up on your first morning and have some freshly baked bread. That kind of circumstance would fit in really well with this kind of thing, wouldn't it?
Yes, absolutely. And it does feel a bit more like a treat, kind of a loaf, doesn't it? Rather than the sort of sliced loaves that you can get. It does feel like a sort of a nice weekend or holiday treat, as you say, and just very, very convenient.
And to hear a bit more about the brand, I caught up with Ashley from Sukrin.
We develop all our bread from our Norwegian nutritionist based in Norway, and we've launched it now into the UK. It's basically got no sugar, wheat, gluten, soya, yeast, but people love it. It's got all the seeds through it. It's all designed and based from our nutritionist base, so it's got a high fibre content. We use pumpkin seed and sunflower seed and kennel. It gives it a really nice texture, crunch, keeps it moist. Lasts in the fridge for 5 or 6 days, but freezes beautifully as well.
So that's the bread mix, and also I see here you've got a cake mix as well. That's obviously from the from the same suppliers.
We use an organic almond flour in this, which gives it a really good protein level. But once again, we don't use sugar. We use our all-natural alternative to sugar, the world's first ever brown alternative to sugar with 0 calories in it. Gluten-free's got a lot of sugar in normally. Ours hasn't got any, but it tastes beautiful. We mix the natural sugar we make from glucose extract, and then we add some stevia to it and a little bit of malt, and we come up with an all-encompassing alternative to brown sugar. The gold was entered this year into the Free From Awards and won highly commended. Considering no one had ever heard of us, that's quite a good feat, really. Our products in Scandinavia are household names. They've been out there for 6 or 7 years, and now we're bringing them to the UK. We sell our products through independent health stores, and we're also doing an online version where people can order online as well.
Follow us on Twitter. We're at G Free Radio.